Interestingly enough, anyway, she spoke about Caitlin Clark, and she spoke kind of about, obviously, Caitlin Clark's initial, like, time in the WNBA and some things like that. But let's take a listen to what she said. This was actually today. This was, Jesus.
Caitlin Clark just made a bold statement with a leaked body transformation video, and it's clear she's not the same rookie from last season. If anyone thought they could push her around, they might want to rethink that. The idea that she's just a finesse player who can't handle physical defenders? That's out the window.
Not a flagrant foul penalty, should have been upon review. You put her personal, but
those days are over. The video making waves online shows a whole new Caitlin Clark, bigger, stronger, and more determined than ever. It's clear she's been putting in serious work at the gym, ready to take control and refuse to let defenders push her around. Last season, teams got away with roughing her up, hacking her, and expecting the refs to ignore it. But 2025 is a different story. Clark is taking matters into her own hands. We all saw what went down last year. She was getting hammered on every possession while the refs acted like they didn't see a thing. Meanwhile, other stars were getting touch fouls for barely being grazed. Clark? She practically had to be body slammed before a whistle was even considered, and even then, half the time, nothing was called.
He's open 3 opportunities.
Bark nudged by Carrington. Bark has some words for her back. Have been really just draped all over each other in the 2 meetings and then tonight's game.
Nick Carrington was an absolute, her first ever game in the WNBA, forcing 10 Turner to come out of position, get her with the hip.
Clark's first trip to the line.
But here's the thing, Clark didn't spend her off-season complaining or begging for fair treatment. She didn't run to the league office or plead with refs to start making calls. Instead, she chose a different path. She turned herself into a player who doesn't need the refs to have her back, and that's bad news for the rest of the league. Last season, defenders had a clear strategy: get physical, get in her head, and make her second-guess every drive, every shot, every move. They figured if they turned the game into a street fight, she'd back down. And yeah, she took some hits, because let's be real, they weren't just playing tough, they were targeting her. But fast forward to now? That game plan is officially dead.
Clark eyes up. Sin one-on-one with Jones, will flip it in. Loose ball, Indiana. Great look, Smith able to guard. There's your exclamation point.
Clark hit the weight room like it was her mission. The arms, the shoulders, the core strength, it's all there. And it's clear she's not just lifting weights, she's training for battle. Now, when defenders try to knock her off her spot, it won't be Clark who's moving. When they swipe at her arms as she pulls up for a 3, she's strong enough to power through the contact and still sink the shot. And if they try to shove her out of the paint on a drive? Good luck with that.
This plays more twisted. Clark sips it in fact, Denley
slips the screen, like, beautifully delivered. We talk about
Clark as the big honor stop and wing 3 is good. Clark through 2. Exit back to Clark. Wallace will take the 3 and drain it. Clark.
The best part? She's not just absorbing contact anymore, she's dishing it out. Last season, you could see the frustration in her eyes. She'd get hacked, look at the ref, and shake her head like, asterisk really? Nothing, asterisk, but this season? If she gets hit, she's not stopping to complain, she's bulldozing through defenders and making them regret even trying. Let's be real, WNBA defenders aren't ready for this version of Caitlin Clark. They got too comfortable thinking of her as just a finesse shooter, the rookie they could push around. But what they're about to learn the hard way is that Clark has officially entered her villain era. She's not looking for sympathy, she's not waiting on the refs, she's handling business herself. And if any defender still thinks they can punk her like last season, they're in for a rude awakening.
Becky Hammond's going to take a timeout, and she's going to challenge this.
Let's talk about the absolute grind Caitlin Clark has been on. This isn't some casual, hit the gym a few times and call it a day routine. Clark went full off-season beast mode, and the results speak for themselves. If you've seen the leaked footage, you already know, this version of Clark is built differently. So, what exactly has she been doing to level up like this? Let's break it down. If you want to be unshakable on the court, it all starts with the core. And that's exactly where Clark has been putting in work, building a rock-solid base so that when defenders try to bump her off her spot, she doesn't even flinch. Think back to last season, every time she came off a screen, defenders body-checked her like it was football. She got shoved mid-air, thrown off balance on drives, and worst of all, the refs just stood there, whistles in their pockets.
And more paint points and every bit of it for their fans because their fabulous move, stopping, tremendous move. We are top.
Clark is turning herself into a tank. She's built to take those hits and still keep her shot smooth as ever.
But Katie Lou Samuelson. Christine a little bit early. I said, what's your playing weight now? She said, 1.
You mentioned earlier, Mark, Caitlin.
Let's be real, Caitlin Clark was never known for her upper body strength. Last season, defenders treated her like she wasn't strong enough to handle pressure, muscling her out of position whenever they wanted. Not anymore. Clark has clearly been hitting the weights hard, and it shows. If there's one thing that separates great players from MVPs, it's the combination of strength and explosiveness. She already had elite speed, but now she's added serious power to it. She's training for explosive first steps, sharp cuts, and unstoppable drives, making her more dangerous than ever.
It's plus the foul.
Is one, and the get-ahead pass is another. Oftentimes,
Players that has the ability to turn.
You know those plays where she gets trapped at the top of the key and has to fight through double teams? This time, she's blowing right past them. And let's not forget, her endurance was already off the charts, but now, with her physical transformation, she's taken it to another level. But it's not just about getting stronger, it's about changing the way she plays the game. Clark isn't just building muscle, she's building a new mindset. She's stepping into this season with a whole new level of confidence because she knows she can handle anything thrown at her. Last year, there were moments of frustration. She'd take the hits, look at the ref, and get no call. That's not happening this season. This version of Clark isn't waiting for whistles. She's powering through contact, playing through the physicality, and making defenders regret ever thinking they could push her around.
Baseline, off the underside of the backboard, did a nice job to recover. It bounces inside.
And you know what? They used to tell you, not afraid.
Mitchell off.
It is Russell Mitchell time and time again. Also have to be.
Mason knocks it down, and Indiana's been red hot here early. This is where Caitlin Clark.
Every offseason, players say they're coming back stronger, but Caitlin Clark actually did it. She saw how the WNBA treated her last season. She saw how defenders tried to rough her up. She saw how people expected her to break under the pressure. And instead of complaining, she went to work. Now, she's stronger, faster, and mentally sharper than ever. Defenders who were banking on the same old Caitlin Clark? They're in for a rude awakening. This season, she's taking no prisoners. Oh, you really thought Clark was going to stay the same skinny rookie you could push around like a shopping cart? You thought you could keep throwing elbows, bodying her up full court, and watching her stumble like it was open season? Well, joke's on you, because 2025 Caitlin Clark is a asterisk problem.
Penalty 1, which review, at least by our account, this snow, but can also see that being a no call.
Let's be real, last season, some WNBA defenders treated Caitlin Clark like the new kid on the block who had to earn her stripes. They tried to intimidate her, threw cheap shots, and baited her into bad plays. And the refs? Oh, they let it all slide. It was like a league-wide hazing ritual, except instead of carrying bags, Clark was carrying bruises. But here's what they didn't realize, Caitlin Clark isn't built like most players. She didn't fold. She didn't whine about it. She studied the game, hit the gym, and came back an absolute monster. And that's bad news for anyone still thinking they can punk Caitlin Clark in 2025. Remember last season when defenders would body her up at half court like it was WWE SmackDown? They'd throw a hip check, force her to adjust, reset, and work twice as hard just to get into her offensive flow.
Let me be very clear. That's when they step up. That's exactly what she's doing.
Smith gets inside for Indiana. Indiana trying to pass Clark to Mitchell. Big three for Indiana. This is
Well, not anymore. Now, when a defender bumps her, they're going to feel that resistance. They'll realize real quick oh, she's solid now. You're not just going to shove her off her spot and watch her stumble like Bambi on ice. Instead of getting pushed around, she's going to absorb the contact and keep it moving. And if you lean in too much, she's putting you on the floor.
So this was interesting on the heels of some of the recent discussions, because I've seen people going after Caitlin Clark's agent, for walking on eggshells with some of her comments. And, she said there's no way to fairly compensate Caitlin Clark, which was basically
her way of saying, yes, Clark is explosively popular and the reason for the popularity in the WNBA and women's basketball. But she also, did the whole tiptoeing thing and crediting those who came before, what I've called the WNBA reverence tax. But, in her case, she has to make sure that she's not doing anything incendiary for Clark or fanning any flames.
You thought Caitlyn was dangerous before? Now she's bigger, stronger, and more confident than ever. That means she's stepping into her shots with zero hesitation, knowing she can shrug off whatever weak defense gets thrown her way. Last year, the haters tried to get in her head. They threw shade in interviews, snubbed her on the court, and made little comments every time she got fouled hard, like she should just toughen up. Well, guess what? She did.
Defense. And Caitlin Clark can do no. The WNBA Friday Night Spotlight is presented by State Farm.
And being able to come out here and support, I know means so much.
Mitchell with 5 seconds left. Cross court Clark. Does Clark see the clock? Handoff, sir. And the Beaver in the third with a flourish.
2025 Caitlyn Clark is mentally unshakable. Talk trash? She'll light you up. Foul her hard? She'll get up, stare you down, and drop 30 on your head. The days of getting under her skin are over. She's the one setting the tone now. You know that moment in sports when an opponent underestimates someone, only to realize mid-game they've made a huge mistake? That moment when the crowd starts buzzing, the energy shifts, and suddenly, the defender looks a little nervous? Yeah, that's what's coming.